Joining us now, Joanna Hyatt, sex expert, also known as the Sex Lady. Joanna, let's talk sex.
Love to. What do you want to know?
How does media affect youth's view on sex?
The media shapes, for a lot of teenagers, their perception of what sex is supposed to be, what it looks like in relationship, how they're supposed to be acting out in relationships. Even though teenagers say, my parents are the greatest influence when it comes to the choices I make about sex, dating, and relationships, the reality is that the media, because it's in their world 24/7, through music, through film, through television, through magazines, it is giving a message that is oftentimes very counter what parents are encouraging. And so teens are getting all this information, and it is radically affecting the way they then live out their own sexuality.
How common is pornography use amongst the youth?
Pornography statistics are hard to nail down, first of all because it involves a lot of self-reporting, and those numbers are constantly changing, but we do know that 90% of young people between the ages of 8 to 19, young men between age 8 to 19, 90% of young men between 8 to 19 have seen pornography. The average age of first exposure for teen boys is 11, actually, but that number is being pushed down just because of how easily accessible pornography is. And a lot of times that's been viewed while kids are doing homework. I think because they're searching for a term or whatever and it comes up. Pornography is more prevalent than I think anybody cares to admit. I think especially as parents, in your home it's so easily accessible, and if your child's not looking at it, I guarantee one of their friends is, and so one of their friends has probably shown it to your teenager. So unfortunately it's out there and we have to talk about it.
Is it the same for girls?
For girls, now when we look at the numbers for adults, which kind of gives us an idea of where teens are at, 70% of porn viewers are adults, 30% are men, 30% are women. Girls, the numbers are harder to nail down, but I do know in my own experience of talking to girls that yes, it is picking up among young girls because it's out there, it's accessible, and they're thinking, okay, well, guys are looking at pornography, guys are into the women that are into porn, so I want to have an idea of what's happening, so they start looking and they end up getting caught up in it because nobody talks about the fact that pornography is addictive.
At all. They just think, oh, I'm just watching this and it's just not going to do anything to me.
And I can stop whenever I want, and that is a much harder thing to actually do in practice.
Because isn't it the same as if you're taking an actual drug, if you're the addiction part?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Because there's that dopamine rush. So when you start looking at pornography, you get this high in the same way you would, like I love roller coasters. And when I get off a roller coaster, I have that rush. And your brain is triggered to say, that was really exciting. I want to do that again. So if I want that feeling, I know to go ride a roller coaster again. Same thing with pornography. Our brain gets a rush of dopamine. So we say, if I want to feel that rush, I'll go back and I'll look at that again.
And then it goes deeper and deeper.
Because eventually you have to look at more edgy things in order to get the same rush.
And darker.
And darker. And you have people that thought, I will never do X, Y, and Z. And all of a sudden they find themselves at that point because the centerfolds that they were looking at just don't cut it after a while.
Yeah.
So understanding when we're battling this, that it's a brain chemistry thing as well. You can't just decide, I'm done, I'm never going to look at it, because your brain craves it, your body craves it. There are environmental triggers that play into this, emotional triggers a lot of times. So it's an addiction, but it's not an addiction that cannot be beat. I think that's the other thing we have to understand.
There's help.
There's help and there's hope. I mean, there's a lot of great resources, but you have to understand I have to actively choose to fight against this.
If someone wants to, invite them to your school to speak, where can they find you?
You can go to my website, JoannaHyatt.com, and you can get information about my speaking schedule as well as my book for parents, The Sex Talk, a survival guide for parents.
Thank you so much. We can go on forever speaking about sex, but once again, JoannaHyatt.com. Check her out, invite her. She is amazing. She knows what she's talking about.
Thank you.
And she's just awesome, and we will see you soon.